I'm Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your bullish bit brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, the simplest and quickest way to buy Bitcoin in the US or Canada and get it directly into your own self-custody. Check them out today at the links down below.
I'm a huge fan of the theory from the sovereign individual, and I think it's incredibly important. I'm, I guess, blessed to be a nationalized American. So I already kind of had a second passport, working on getting a third, but that's just because of my family roots, right? But it's incredibly important just to have different nationalities because, you know, you're going to go to where you're treated best, fundamentally. And just to kind of like break down the game theory a little bit, I see it playing out, and it's fascinating. For example, one of Trump's slogans, he's like, I want all the Bitcoin to be mined in America, right? And so essentially what he's doing is he's competing for the business of Bitcoin miners. And the ETF thing was very similar, right? ETFs were launched in everywhere except the United States, including Hong Kong, which is really, you know, a China proxy, right? Mm-hmm. You know, so it became strategically important for the U.S. to launch an ETF as well to be competitive with one of its main opponents these days, or is China, right? At least on an economical level. But from an individual level, you know, I'm starting to see it, and I agree with Katie. I'm not really seeing it like on a massive scale, but I do have some good friends, like at least 3 or 4, and one's very well known, and he's in a very powerful, influential position, and he just renounced his U.S. citizenship. He's like, this is not worth it, which is exactly what, by the way, the book The Sovereign Individual predicted. Is like the U.S. citizenship is not the one to have, and he's like, look, I'm going to give this up, and I'm just going to move to this other country. And I'm like, let me ask you something. When you woke up the next day, did Hillary Clinton, was she by your bedside and wanting to kill you? And she's like, no, nothing happened. They even let me in. They gave me a visa. But I think you're going to start to see an acceleration of that because it starts not to make sense, especially with the rise of the internet, peer-to-peer communications. You can work anywhere around the world. And it's like, does it really make sense to pay 39% of my income where, you know, I can move to Dubai, or I can move to, you know, one of these jurisdictions where there's no taxes? Like, why am I doing this? And I think, honestly, and this is my last point, I think they're starting to notice that, which is why I believe they made an example of Roger Ver, because one of the reasons as to why they arrested him was even though he renounced his citizenship, which is just crazy, he didn't pay a percentage of his capital gains. So they arrested him in Spain. They arrested him in Spain, and they're extraditing him back to the United States. And the reason for that is because they're trying to make an example out of him. And I think they're trying to make an example out of him because they're scared that people are going to wake up and kind of follow in his footsteps. And I think things are cracking, and I think we're making progress. And I think it's going to be a brave new world a decade from now, but I think it's going to be a world where individuals are going to have a lot more freedom than they have today.